This little walk is going to concentrate perhaps on some of the things around George Hutchinson and where he saw um, Mary Kelly, various parts of that story. I just thought I'd come down and start here because these buildings are quite nice and old and close. You can see the old warehouse style buildings. But we're just walking roughly north now, and you can see this familiar car park that sits between Dorset Street and White's Row, or you can while it still exists. I believe it's going to be demolished soon. So this is White's Row we're turning onto. Dorset Street is parallel. There's not a lot on it, to be honest, apart from green shutters. About directly left of us now on Dorset Street, the northern side would be Little Paternoster Row up there, with I've seen it described as Crossingham's lodging house. Then I've seen Crossingham's as being described as further down the street, which is White's Row, 8 White's Row, Annie Millwood, who was attacked and stabbed in the legs. Some people think it could have been an early Ripper attack. But yeah, Crossingham's, where Kate Eddowes stayed. I'm not quite sure the location. About level with this last tree. It's a bit difficult to get the angle here. So as you're looking through the railings, would be the entrance to Miller's Court. That's where George Hutchinson watched Kelly go down with a man. There was a lodging house opposite. But that's about the location. That's about as much as you can really say. As I say, the Dorset Street, there's nothing really left there to watch. But this gives you an idea, perhaps, of what it might have been like. Dorset Street was described, or was one of the most notorious streets in London. Mixture of lodging houses and pubs down there. It's not very long. Again, I don't think the cameras do these things justice. That they seem to be a bit longer than they actually are. When you walk down them, you think, "Is that it? Is that it?" Toynbee Street down there on the right. So we're now back onto Commercial Street, just crossing the road, waiting for the traffic. Christchurch up there, of course. Hanbury Street beyond those, up on the right. So there we go. On this corner, just when we get around this van, was the corner where George Hutchinson tried to peek a look at the man accompanying Mary Kelly. Another Ripper tour there, I think, isn't it? This is Fashion Street, or the corner of Fashion Street. We're just going to take a couple of go down Commercial Street, heading south, and see a couple more sites. So George Hutchinson, who was possibly a good witness, and Abilene seemed to believe what he said, had actually met Mary Kelly just about here on the other side of the road. This is, or was, Flower and Dean Street. Down there, there's not a lot to see. It's now a housing estate. So he'd met Mary Kelly here. Mary Kelly had asked him for some money. When he said no or refused, didn't have any, she continued walking down here and met a man who Hutchinson said he'd passed earlier. So whether this guy was walking up and down here looking for women, very possibly. So Mary Kelly continued, and somewhere around about here is where she met this Astrakhan man. So she walked back up the way we've just come, and outside of the that white building on the corner is where they walked past Hutchinson. He then followed them. That's Thrawl Street. He then followed them across to Dorset Street and stood opposite. So where we looked through those railings, he would have been stood more or less in line with that. Watched them go down the alley. Stood there for half an hour, 45 minutes. Can't remember which you might think is an odd thing to do, unless he had some personal connection perhaps with Mary Kelly. But that's speculation. There are other people who suggest that his sighting was too detailed to be possibly true. You see the tall building at the end, that's on Whitechapel Road. That's the intersection with Commercial Street. It goes down to Lehman Street. And here on the corner, a better shot from an earlier video. Princess Alice Pub. John Pizer Mickle D. Joe, another name, allegedly drank there. I did Francis Cole's